So, for the past 20 years, I've been helping Malaysia and other Southeast Asians to speak better English. And through training thousands of Swedish Asians, I've discovered a very surprising truth. How well somebody communicates in English actually has very little to do with their English level. It has a lot to do with their attitude toward English. There are people out there who have a very low level of English and they can communicate very well. One of them I remember was a student, a participant of my name Faisal. He was a factory supervisor, English level very low. But this guy could just sit and listen to anybody very calmly, clearly, and then he could respond. Absolutely, express his thoughts beautifully at a very low level of English. So, today I want to share with you what is so different about people like Faisal. How do they do it? And second of all, why is this so important not only to you, but to your children, to your community, and to the future of Malaysia? And third of all, what's one thing you can do starting today if you want to speak with that calm, clear confidence that people like Faisal have? First of all, what is so different? How do people like Faisal do it? To answer that question, I'm going to take you back about 10 years, okay? I was training staff at that time and my doctor at the time was taking piano lessons. And I start to notice two really strong similarities between my daughter's attitude or thinking towards playing the piano and a lot of Malaysian thinking or attitude toward English. First of all, I should tell you my daughter absolutely hated piano, hated listen, hated practicing. This is my daughter practicing piano, okay? This is as good as it got. This is the real thing, and she dreaded going to piano lessons. Because to my daughter going to piano lessons, she was filled with this sort of dread. Because it was all about not screwing up, right? Because like a lot of piano students to both my daughter and her teacher, her success in piano was measured by how few mistakes she made. At the same time, I noticed that a lot of Malaysians went into English conversation with the same sort of feeling of dread. This sort of feeling that they were going to be judged by how many mistakes they were going to make and whether or not they were going to screw up. Now, the second similarity that I noticed was to do with self-image. My daughter, she knew what good piano sound like, right? Because we've all heard good piano and she knew what her level was and she knew how long she'd have to play like that. And a lot of Malaysian, I noticed, had this good of what good proper English is supposed to sound like, and what their I see a lot of you note and what their English sound like and how far they would to go to get there. And they also felt like they were like my daughter, just bad piano player, bad English speaker, right? My English not so good lah, cannot sorry, I cannot. So I could see these similarities, but I still couldn't figure out. Okay, what is it about these people like Faisal that are so different that can just do it smoothly, calmly, with confidence? One day, I discovered the answer, and I discovered it quiet by change. It was a day when my computer broke down and I had to go to a cyber cafe. Okay, it was my first time and I discovered cyber cafe are disgusting places. Okay, they're really gross, they're smelly and they're filled with boys. And they're all playing noisy, violent games. They're just disgusting places. But I had to go there, so I sat down and I start noticing this guy beside me and I become very interested in this guy next to me. Now, this guy is playing this game that is basically it's like shooting people until they die. And this is it. This the game, right? And I'm noticing that this guy is not very good. In fact, he's terrible, right? Because I'm looking and I'm saying like a lot of shooting and not much dying, right? What really interested me was behind this lousy player were three of his friends sort of standing there watching him play. What I really noticed was even though this guy was terrible, even though his friends were watching him and there was no embarrassment, there was no feeling of being judged, there was no shyness. In fact, quite the opposite. This guy is totally focused on the bad guys. Smile on his face, all he can think about is killing these guys, right? And I'm watching him and I suddenly realize this is it. This is the same attitude that people like Faisal have when they speak English, just like this guy. Okay, when Faisal goes into an English conversation, he doesn't feel judged. He is entirely focused on the person that he's speaking to and the result he wants to get. He's got no self awareness, no doubts about his own mistakes.